Okay, so let's unpack this. I mean, picture this scenario. It's almost universal, right?
Right. Everyone's had this happen at some point.
You are just absolutely absorbed in the ordinary chaos of your day. You're trying to figure out if you forgot to pay a bill or you're stuck replaying some difficult conversation you had.
We're just running late. That frantic internal buzz.
Exactly. You're definitely not focused on anything mystical. You're just living.
Running on pure autopilot. Your mind is just trapped in a loop of worry or scheduling,
It is. And then completely without seeking it, you're not even looking for a pattern. You glance at your phone or you pass a digital clock and bam, it's 11:11.
Or 4:44 in the afternoon.
Yes. Or you're paying for something and the total just stares back at you. $7.77.
And that's the jolt, isn't it? It's this immediate disruptive pause in the flow of whatever you were distracted by.
It is. It just snaps you out of that repetitive thought pattern instantly.
Yeah.
And you suddenly feel present, almost hyper-aware of your surroundings and your own internal state.
So the question is why? Why that moment?
Why in that exact moment of distraction does something as simple as a symmetrical number feel less like just statistical chance and more like a deliberate signal, like a momentary doorway into something else?
It's one of the most intriguing intersections we can explore, really, because it draws from psychology, from deep spiritual symbolism, and from the multidimensional metaphysics that people who really navigate reality like experienced dream masters rely on.
And that is absolutely our mission today. We're taking the deepest dive possible into why these repeating numbers appear, and more importantly, what that jolt they provide actually means for you.
Right. Moving beyond the surface level interpretations.
We're looking past the generalized angel number meanings to really understand the mechanics of how reality and awareness, how they conspire to create these moments. Now, before we jump into the layered mechanics of 11, 11, and 4, just want to take a very quick but really heartfelt moment for gratitude.
It's necessary. Absolutely deserved.
We recently wrapped the Kickstarter for Book 2, and, well, thanks to you, the Deep Dive community, it was a massive success.
Just incredible.
We were successfully funded, reaching 109% of our goal, supported by 26 incredible backers who pledged $1,641.
And that kind of sustained support, that's what lets us do this. It means we can carve out the time and space to explore these complex intersections in this kind of detail.
It really does. So thank you profoundly for making this happen and for valuing this work.
Your support ensures we can stay focused on synthesizing this often dense and nuanced material into, clear, accessible conversations, ones that respect your time and your intelligence.
So the Kickstarter is currently processing. Backer surveys are coming very soon, so please keep an eye on your inboxes for those details. And we are committed to continuing our monthly or, milestone updates as the project moves forward. But truly, we wouldn't be here without you. And finally, a quick invitation. As always, we really do shape these deep dives around your curiosity.
We want to know what you're thinking about.
Let us know what metaphysical or dream-related topics you want us to explore next. Your suggestions really do help shape the direction of the show and ensure we keep unpacking the subjects that are most relevant to your own inner journey.
We're ready to follow the threads of your most pressing questions.
So when people first start seeing these sequences, whether it's 1111 or 777, the immediate impulse is it's often to seek some external meaning.
Makes sense.
Usually through the spiritual community or traditional numerology. And for good reason. I mean, these interpretations provide an immediate comforting framework.
Of course. Humans are meaning-making creatures. We really hate randomness. So when you're confronted with a perfectly symmetrical yet seemingly random event, your brain immediately seeks a purpose for it.
And assigning it a spiritual message is, it's often the most accessible and immediate response that validates the feeling of the experience.
Right, exactly. It says this wasn't random, this was for you.
And these generalized spiritual interpretations, often called angel numbers, are incredibly common. 11 is probably the most famous. It's so frequently associated with awakening or alignment.
The idea being that you're on the right path or a doorway of opportunity is opening up.
Right. It's seen as this direct call to spiritual attention, urging you to notice your thoughts and your feelings in that exact moment.
And if we look at other sequences, the themes are pretty consistent. Seeing 222, for instance, that commonly signifies balance or harmony.
Especially in relationships, I've heard. Or between, opposing forces inside yourself. It suggests things are coming into equilibrium.
And then you get to 777.
Yeah. That sequence is widely interpreted as a sign of deep inner wisdom, maybe spiritual luck, or just an affirmation that you're deeply aligned with a higher cosmic flow.
It often validates an inner knowing that you might have been doubting. It's like a confirmation.
And then you have some that are more focused on the material plane, like 888.
Classically tied to abundance, prosperity, the infinity symbol. Whether that abundance is financial or emotional or spiritual, it's seen as a signal of favorable flow.
And it often appears when a person is making, solid progress toward their goals.
Right. And to round it out, nine usually signals completion, the end of a major cycle in your life.
Suggesting that a period of work or a phase of learning is drawing to a close and you're being prepared to move on to the next major chapter.
However, and this is a crucial nuance, those who practice deep, sustained inner work understand that the meaning is never fixed or universal. It can't be.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all message.
Not at all. The true interpretation depends entirely on the context of the person noticing the number. What were they thinking? What were they feeling or doing in that precise moment? The meaning is derived internally, not delivered externally.
That is the critical distinction we need to hang on to. It's not an external message being universally broadcast. It's an internal resonance being highlighted.
Yes.
But before we explore the dimensional mechanics of that resonance, we absolutely have to give the objective psychological explanations they're due.
Oh, for sure. They provide powerful grounding, even if they don't quite tell the whole story.
Right.
We have to start with the brain. Always. Because dismissing the mind's role is dismissing the most powerful pattern recognition system in the known universe. Psychology offers very coherent, repeatable explanations for why we notice these patterns, even if it strips away some of that feeling of cosmic significance.
So what's the bedrock of that explanation?
It's simple, really. Pattern recognition. The human brain is just hardwired to find order, symmetry, repetition. It's a survival mechanism.
To predict what comes next.
Exactly. Detecting patterns in nature or in behavior allows us to predict the future. So when you encounter a simple, perfect 3 or 4-digit sequence like 444, your brain registers that perfect structure instantly. It's an anomaly, and the brain flags anomalies as important.
Okay, so the brain flags it?
Yeah.
Then what?
Then a phenomenon called confirmation bias kicks right in. Once you see 1111 for the first time, maybe you are having a profound thought or making a wish, and you decide that moment meant something.
Your brain becomes primed.
Precisely. It starts actively looking for evidence that supports the idea that repeating numbers are meaningful. It's looking to prove its own theory right.
And that priming is powerfully reinforced by something called selective attention.
Yes.
Right.
Your brain starts filtering the massive amount of numerical data you get every single day. You don't notice the complex non-sequential numbers, the address that's 4127, the time being 11.23, the receipt for $14.58.
You start noticing and remembering only the hits. The 11 of 11, the 333.
So it's not that the numbers are appearing more often. It's that your awareness is just ignoring the noise and amplifying the signal it's been told to look for.
And this is a perfect setup for what they call the frequency illusion.
The Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. Everyone knows that feeling. You buy a specific model of a car, and suddenly you start seeing that exact car everywhere.
Yeah. They weren't new. Your awareness just started cataloging them after you first noticed one.
The perception that repeating numbers are increasing in frequency is off just that. It's a cognitive bias.
And if you layer the statistical view onto this, the psychological grounding gets even stronger. I mean, just consider the sheer volume of numbers you interact with every day.
Passwords, phone numbers, clocks, receipts, speeds, prices, social media counters. It's a constant barrage.
Given all of that input, the occurrence of a strange symmetrical sequence like 1111 or 777, it's statistically bound to happen by pure chance with some regularity.
And the statistical argument just posits that we remember the hits because our pattern recognition system and our confirmation bias have attached some emotional or psychological significance to them.
Right. We feel the jolt, so we remember the jolt.
Mm-hmm.
And we just forget the thousands of misses that happen in between.
If you see 4:44 p.m. on a Tuesday and you feel that moment of pause, you log it. But you saw 4.45, 4.46, 4.47, and those times vanished instantly from your memory.
So the memory bias just compounds the frequency illusion, making the whole thing self-reinforcing. But, and this is where the conversation gets really interesting, the psychological and statistical explanations, they tell us how we notice the numbers and why we remember them.
They're compelling.
They are. But they completely fail to explain the feeling that comes with noticing them. They don't explain why the experience feels charged or why it interrupts a mental trance, why it feels like more than just seeing a bus number.
Exactly. That's the missing piece. It's the mechanism of reality itself. If the numbers are truly just random, why is the experience of noticing them so often correlated with this momentary spike in lucidity or internal alignment?
That's where we have to move beyond linear five-sense reality and into the dimensional structure.
Right. To bridge that gap between randomness and significance, we need to adopt a more structural view of reality, the kind of view understood by those who train their awareness to operate outside the constraints of linear time.
As the metaphysician taught Philip, this structure, it begins with the reality we're in right now, which we'd call four dimensions or 4D.
Your single perceived timeline, past, present, and the linear path you're actively moving along. Everything here seems fixed, cause and effect, very sequential.
But then it gets more complex.
The moment you introduce the potential of choice, or attention, or probability, you move into the fifth dimension, or 5D.
And what is 5D exactly?
5D is probability space. It's a realm of countless branching variations of reality that all exist simultaneously. Every possible choice you could make, every minor chance outcome, all of those variations exist right now in 5D.
Okay, let's slow down there because this is where the conventional mind can kind of trip up. So 5D is this ocean of choices. Can you give a really concrete, real-world example of that?
Of course. Think about your commute this morning. You habitually take Route A, that's your active 4D timeline.
Okay.
But what if you were running late and just on an impulse you decided to take Route B instead?
Route B would immediately become my new 4D reality.
Right. But 5D still holds the reality where you took Route A and the one where you took Route C and the reality where you stayed home and even the one where you spilled coffee on your shirt and had to change, making you even later.
So 5D is the infinite decision tree,
Right.
and every moment we're selecting a branch.
Right.
And that selection becomes our current 4D reality.
And the other branches don't just vanish. They just exist as unselected potential. And the metaphysician goes one step further into the sixth dimension, or 60.
Which is even bigger.
Much bigger. This dimension encompasses all possible histories. It's not just the choices you could make from this moment forward, like in 5D. It's every version of how reality could have unfolded from fundamentally different starting conditions.
So if 5D is all the branches on my current tree,
Then 6D represents every possible species of tree that could have grown from the initial seed of the universe. It's absolute total potential.
okay, that is a complex model, but it sets the stage. So if every possibility already exists in these higher dimensions, how on earth does that relate to me seeing 1111 on my odometer?
This is the key insight that just flips the whole narrative.
Okay.
Repeating numbers are not external instructions. They're not coded messages sent to you by some entity.
They're not.
No. They are simply patterns you spontaneously notice in the version of reality, the 4D branch, where your attention momentarily rises.
So if we accept the 5D framework, then every timeline already exists. That means there are countless versions of me who, at 11/20/11, were still looking at their email or had already turned the corner.
Or we're just too lost in thought to even glance at the clock. There are versions of you who did not notice the pattern.
The moment I noticed the pattern, therefore, that is the timeline I selected where my awareness intersected with some kind of harmonic pattern embedded in reality's structure.
Yes, think about it. The deeper dimensions, the 5D probability space and the 6D potential, they are structured fundamentally by mathematical and geometric principles. These repeating numbers, because of their perfect symmetry, 11, 11, 4, 4, 4, they represent stable, clean, harmonic patterns that exist consistently across many dimensional layers.
They're like beacons of pure structure.
A good way to put it. This means the number itself does not cause the awareness. That is the critical reversal.
Awareness selects the timeline where the pattern was visible. It's an internal event that leads to an external confirmation.
Think of it like a ripple. The spontaneous rise of your internal awareness, that jolt we talked about, that's the pebble dropped into the probability space of 5D.
And that ripple.
That ripple instantaneously aligns your 4D path with the one branch where the structural pattern, the 1111, was observable. You momentarily tune the radio of your consciousness to the frequency where that pattern is broadcasting strongest.
So when I see 777 on a receipt, I am simply inhabiting the specific 4D path where my attention naturally surfaced at that precise moment to meet the pattern.
Yes, the act of noticing is the significance. It is an intersection, not an instruction manual delivered from the sky.
Okay, so let's try to solidify these mechanics a bit.
We can use more grounded, experiential phrasing. Those who awaken in dreams, they understand that these symmetrical number patterns exist because they are stable, reliable patterns that emerge from the underlying architecture of this multidimensional structure.
Okay, but if that's true, if the pattern is just a stable feature of the architecture, why are they always symmetrical? I mean, if my awareness is just spontaneously rising, why wouldn't I just notice 11.17 or 11.23?
That is a critical question.
If it's truly just an intersection, why does the universe only seem to offer up these clean triple-digit patterns?
It takes us deeper into the concept of dimensional resonance. While any sequence obviously exists, the symmetrical ones, 11, 11, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, they are the simplest, cleanest harmonic patterns. Think of them as fundamental tones.
Like perfect mathematical chords.
Exactly like that. When your awareness spontaneously rises, when that unconscious momentum breaks, that internal event is a burst of high-frequency energy.
On that energy.
That high-frequency energy instantly seeks alignment with the cleanest, most resonant, stable pattern available. An asymmetrical number like 11.17 is complex, it's random, and it holds very little structural integrity across the dimensions. A symmetrical pattern is a structural truth.
So the appearance of 444 is actually evidence that my awareness rose high enough to align with a structural truth in reality.
Yes. It's an efficient, simple pattern that provides maximum clarity for the minimal burst of awareness required to see it.
That's the mechanism then. When my awareness shifts unexpectedly, I align with the branch in 5D, where that foundational pattern becomes visible.
And you notice the number precisely because countless other timelines exist where the numbers were random, but your attention was still trapped on autopilot.
So therefore, the appearance is not instruction, it is intersection.
Exactly.
And that explains why the experience feels so deeply personal and so charged. It's proof that I momentarily shifted my internal frequency and selected a reality where the pattern was visible, interrupting my programmed flow.
This framework also addresses why they so often appear when we're distracted or worried or running on autopilot.
Because the mind is, what, running a low-frequency path.
Yes. When the mind is operating on unconscious momentum, fear, habit, stress, it is running a dull, low-frequency 4D path. The probability space, the 5D, is just dense with these low-momentum timelines.
And the moment where I did glance at the clock is the exact moment where that unconscious momentum momentarily broke.
That break is the small spike in awareness. And it's just sufficient to collide with the harmonic pattern. It's a collision between your wandering attention and a pure structural truth embedded in reality.
So the number simply serves as the visual confirmation that the trance has been broken.
That's it.
So the metaphysician gives us the physics of it, the structure and the mechanism of how the number appears in our reality.
Right, the how.
But the oracle, drawing from a deep intuitive wisdom, provides the necessary emotional context. She teaches us how to use that moment of intersection.
And the oracle's approach, it shifts the focus entirely inward. She would dismiss fixed interpretations like 444 means protection because they separate the event from the context of the person observing it.
That kind of external definition makes the observer passive, doesn't it?
Completely passive. Her teaching reframes the fundamental question. So instead of asking, what message did the universe send me with this number, she would instruct us to ask something else.
Which is?
The number is a mirror. What state of being was I reflecting into it?
Wow. Okay, that's a big shift.
Her core insight is that the number itself carries no inherent fixed message. It is merely a device, a perfect reflective surface, showing you the energetic, emotional, or mental state you were in the moment you noticed it.
So if you're feeling profound stress when you saw 11, the number isn't delivering a solution.
No. It is highlighting the stress and urging you to address it.
Experienced dream masters and those attuned to ancient wisdom, they understand that reality operates through relationship and reflection, not through coded warnings.
Yes, the work is always to turn the attention away from the digits and inward. What choice were you contemplating? What emotion were you avoiding? What part of you was trying to surface into conscious awareness right before that interaction?
So the oracle's worldview sees numbers not as omens, but as fundamental architectural teachings.
Exactly. They reflect how the world is arranged and balanced and understood. These are principles aligned with foundational cultural concepts of order.
Let's use 444 as an example. She would draw on the significance of the number 4 itself, right?
She would. In foundational teachings across many, many cultures, 4 represents stability, structure, the material plane. We have the 4 seasons, the 4 cardinal directions, the 4 elements.
So she would never simplify it to four means protection.
Never. Instead, she would say something like, 4 is not a message, it is a teaching. It asks you to examine the foundational stability in your own life.
So where is my structure weak? Am I neglecting my physical body, my emotions, my mental clarity, my spiritual fire?
Precisely. The number 4 reflects the structure of the earthly world, and so it urges a structural review of your own.
That adds such profound depth. And it means the number isn't telling you what to do, it's telling you what to look at.
That's it, exactly. Similarly, when approaching the number 7, say, you see 777, she would remind us that 7 is not luck. It is the shape of sacred space.
What does that mean, the shape of sacred space?
It references the 7 primary directions, the 4 cardinal directions, plus the sky above you, the earth below you, and the center, the spirit within you.
That makes the appearance of 7 duckly personal, then. It's asking me to check my position within the cosmos.
Yes. If 7 appears, it is asking you to remember your center, your alignment with your own spirit, and your place in the larger reality. Have you lost your anchor to the earth? Have you forgotten to look up at the sky?
So when someone notices these repeating numbers, the oracle just redirects their attention away from assigning some external prophecy.
And toward the internal state, the imbalance, the question being avoided, the unconscious choice that's about to be made. The symmetrical number acts as a perfect spotlight on the stage of your internal theater.
She teaches that people see these numbers when they are stressed or worried or distracted.
Because those are the precise moments when the dreamer, the conscious, self drifts into unconsciousness, the ego runs the autopilot, and awareness collapses into that low-frequency loop of fear or habit.
You are essentially asleep while you're awake.
And the repeating number appears in that moment of collapse not to deliver a fortune, but as a simple symmetrical pattern that offers a foothold back to stability.
So the act of noticing it becomes an active mechanism for self-correction.
Yes. It is an immediate, almost jarring return to center. You stop, you breathe, and for that split second, you're lucid.
It functions as a recollection of self, a pause in which you remember who you are and what you're doing in the middle of all the chaos. The number successfully interrupts the narrative of worry you were trapped inside.
And that moment of interruption is a crucial opportunity. It's a reorientation prompted by that collision of your rising awareness with reality's harmonic structure. The energy of that jolt should be used immediately.
Not later, when the moment has passed.
Exactly. The oracle offers these powerful lines to integrate this perspective. She reminds us that numbers do not speak. They reflect your relationship to the moment.
So if my relationship to the moment is one of panic, the number just shows me the panic. If it's one of calm acceptance, it shows me that calm.
She emphasizes the intimate nature of it. The number is not outside of you. It is the place where you left yourself and found yourself again.
It marks the location of your internal departure and the point of your return.
So it becomes an immediate instruction to yourself. When 4 appears, ask where your balance is gone. When 7 appears, ask where your center is. The appearance of the number is not a divine prophecy.
It's my own awareness calling me back to the present moment, back to lucidity.
Let's revisit that moment of interruption itself then. Bridging the psychology with the metaphysics, we've established they are intersections with these harmonic structures, but why do they feel so charged?
The feeling is shocking because they appear precisely when we are least lucid, right? We're usually distracted, deeply preoccupied, or emotionally invested in some internal drama.
We're in a low-level trance state defined by habitual thought patterns.
Or, as is so often the case, they appear when we're struggling with some internal friction-making or actively avoiding a big decision.
And the psychic energy you expend in that avoidance, it creates a specific kind of internal noise that traps your awareness.
So they catch us off guard because we were just running on that unconscious momentum. The mind wasn't expecting to notice anything new or structured.
The number appears when the mind, even for a millisecond, achieves a state of spontaneous stillness or a rising of awareness that breaks that autopilot cycle.
And this power of the interruption, that's the true value of the phenomenon.
It feels significant because it instantly breaks the trance of autopilot that the mind so frequently slips into, and autopilot is the opposite of agency.
It creates a vital, instantaneous state shift. I mean, even a half-second pause is enough to disrupt the anxious or distracting chemical cascade that was defining your moment.
And that interruption forcibly reorients your attention away from the internal narrative, the worry loop, and back toward objective reality, the simple fact of the clock, the concrete number on the screen.
In that fleeting second, agency is returned to you.
Yes, you stop being a passive passenger in your stream of racing thoughts, and you become the conscious observer again. The symmetrical number just acts as the perfect alarm bell, simple enough to cut through the noise and stable enough to exist in that underlying dimensional structure.
Which brings us to, I think, the most practical, actionable takeaway from all of this.
The part that links the entire deep dive back to the work of consciousness and internal growth.
We can leverage the mechanism we just described.
Exactly. The ultimate connection here is between dream work and conscious waking life.
Treat repeating numbers as a dream sign.
That's it. They are the jolt that wakes you from the dream of being unconscious in your own life.
For those who awaken in dreams, they use certain symbols, right? A recurring anomaly, a sudden shift in the physics of the dream, or the appearance of a distorted clock face.
Right. They use it as a trigger. That symbol signals that the dreamer is currently trapped in the unconscious narrative of the dream world. When they see the trigger, they perform a reality check to confirm they are, in fact, lucid.
And seeing 11 or 4 in waking life functions the exact same way.
Yeah.
It's a quick, unmistakable jolt of anomaly.
Is a moment that snaps you back into lucidity and reminds you to pause and check your state. Am I awake? Am I operating from conscious choice and truth? Or am I just running on habit, fear, and distraction?
It's your mechanism for lucidity in the waking world.
Yeah.
If you were about to send a resentful email while you were just lost in thought, and then you see 333, that number is a literal reality check.
It is not telling you what the email means. It is asking you to verify your mental state before you act. It allows you to reassert conscious control over your thoughts and your actions.
The pattern acts as a reminder that you've temporarily fallen asleep in the dream of life.
And the repetition of the number is proof that your own deeper awareness is calling you back to the present moment, asking you to choose your next step consciously rather than letting it be determined by momentum.
So this knowledge it's only valuable as it translates into a change in behavior or perception.
It has to be practical.
So the next time you experience that jolt, that intersection with a repeating number, use it instantly as an opportunity for inner work. Don't immediately turn to the internet for some external meaning. Turn your attention inward.
And we have some specific practical questions you can use as prompts in that precious moment of spontaneous lucidity. The first is always, what were you thinking about 1 second before you noticed the number?
This is so critical because it tells you the contents of your unconscious mind just prior to the break.
Yeah.
If you were thinking anxious thoughts about your future, the number simply highlighted the anxiety.
But if you were having a clear breakthrough idea about a project, the number highlighted the energy of that creation. It's an affirmation of your pre-existing internal state.
Another crucial prompt is to verify your emotional state. Were you anxious, distracted, or actively avoiding a decision?
As we discussed through the oracle's lens, the numbers often appear when the autopilot is running on avoidance. So if you find yourself procrastinating on a difficult task and then you see 444, the number isn't a message about protection.
It's a mirror reflecting my current internal disarray.
Precisely.
You should also step back and ask a pattern recognition question. Does this pattern or this jolt appear around particular types of choices, specific relationships, or recurring emotional states in my life?
That's a great one. If you only ever notice repeating numbers when you're contemplating a major career change, then the pattern is clearly marking those moments as significant points of intersection and choice for you.
And finally, the ultimate reality check. Was the number truly a wake-up call to pause and verify my awareness?
Use the moment of the jolt to verify your state, just as a dreamer checks their hands or the environment to see if they're dreaming. In waking life, you check your emotional and mental state for lucidity. This pause. This is the moment of agency.
So let's synthesize this whole journey. We've moved from basic psychology to the mechanics of dimensional alignment, and then integrated the quiet, profound wisdom of the oracle.
And it all leads to one powerful, elegant message about your relationship with reality.
Repeating numbers are not instructions or guidance from outside you.
They are intersections, moments where your focused attention spontaneously aligns with a deeper harmonic structure of reality. You momentarily tuned into the dimensional frequency where that pattern is visible.
The significance isn't derived from the digits themselves. The meaning is not in the number.
The meaning is in the noticing. The power comes from the jolt of awareness it provides, which breaks the trance of distraction.
So you should use the pattern not as a guidepost to some external destination,
But as a perfect, unflinching mirror reflecting the quality and the lucidity of your internal journey. It is a persistent callback to center, reminding you that you have the agency to choose your path and elevate your awareness regardless of the sequence you just witnessed.
So if noticing a repeating number is truly a moment of lucidity in waking life, a genuine, unearned break from the trance of autopilot that guides most of your day, what is the very first decision you would make differently when that moment of clarity arrives?
Think about that next time you see 1111.